Let's look at this resume and decide if this player is a Hall of Famer. This player is a top 25 scorer of all time, far past the 26,000 point mark. He is top 75 in assists all time, top 100 in steals, top 50 in offensive win shares, a top 3 player in his franchise's history, led said franchise to a conference finals during his peak, the farthest the franchise had gone to that point in time, was a consistent 20 point per game scorer for over a decade, and had multiple seasons over 27 points per game. And in his peak, he was also considered one of the best at his position and has won gold medal. Now he does have some knocks. He has never won a ring, was only a 3-time All-NBA player and a 6-time All-Star, and has a career PER just under 19, just shy of the rough threshold we use of 20 for Hall of Famers. Would you consider this player a Hall of Famer? If you said yes, congratulations. You just named DeMar DeRozan to your Hall of Fame. If you said no, I'd urge you to go look at the resumes of some Hall of Famers who are already in, after this video of course, and compare them to DeMar's. Now I'm not saying that DeMar is an absolute guarantee to be a Hall of Famer. I'm not sure if he even is a first ballot Hall of Famer, but he deserves to have a spot. Of all active players, he currently has the 24th best odds to make the Hall, sitting at a 48% chance according to Basketball Reference. That is insane to me, and I know Basketball Reference isn't the end-all be-all, but it's a very good measure that a lot of people like to use. For comparison, Karl Anthony Towns, who is also a 6-time All-Star and 3-time All-NBA, currently has a 75% chance according to Basketball Reference. I am the biggest Cat fan you will find, but come on, like what's the difference in their resumes? Today, I want to make the argument as to why DeMar DeRozan deserves his flowers and why he has, for some reason, become one of the most underrated stars this league has ever seen. Let's set the scene for DeMar's career.
With the 9th pick in the 2009 NBA draft, the Toronto Raptors select DeMar DeRozan from the University of Southern California.
DeMar DeRozan played 1 year at USC, 6'7", 211 pounds. He was MVP of the Pac-10 tournament. You know, there are people who say he's got as much potential as any player in the draft.
DeMar DeRozan was drafted 9th overall in the 2009 draft by the Toronto Raptors. He was a highly ranked prospect coming out of high school and had a solid season at USC. Toronto was a newer franchise just entering its 15th season with little to no history beyond a few first-round exits. They had a young star in Chris Bosh entering his prime, another solid young piece in Andrea Bargnani, and now look to add DeMar into the mix. Now, DeMar didn't have the craziest of rookie seasons, only putting up 8, 3, and 1 a night, and Bosh left for Miami in the offseason, so we never got to see what that original trio could have been, especially with how we now know DeMar's progression went. In years 2 and 3, DeMar really came into his own as a budding star for the young franchise. The team sucked, but Toronto was starting to potentially lay the groundwork for their future championship teams. In the 2012 offseason, Toronto added Kyle Lowry, creating the duo that would turn the Raptors into a consistent top 4 seed in the East. 2014 to 2018 was this duo's prime years, making deep runs in the playoffs, but this was also prime LeBronto, so they never beat the Cavs. I think this is one of the 3 major reasons why DeMar has become so overlooked as a Hall of Famer. He doesn't have a ring. Any other stretch of years, this franchise would have made a finals run, and that would have changed DeMar's legacy as this team star. I think the second major reason is that there's confusion as to who was the franchise guy between DeRozan and Lowry. I also think Lowry is a guy who, probably for a lot of the same reasons, is at the same level as DeMar in terms of their Hall of Fame ballots. He's a guy that I think most people think is a borderline Hall of Famer, but that's a video for another day. I personally think DeMar reached higher highs as the go-to guy for the Raptors, but like I said, it's up for debate. Those are 2 of the top 3 players in that franchise's history. The third reason for why DeMar is so underrated, in my opinion, is what comes in the summer of 2018.
The deal is final. The Spurs will send Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green to the Raptors for DeMar DeRozan, Jakob Poeltl, and a 2019 first-round pick. League sources tell me.
I'm like, I get the phone, I'm like, it's DeMar. So I pick out, he's like, he said some choice words that I'm not going to say.
DeMar was very open this summer about feeling betrayed.
Yeah.
Did you feel betrayed?
I felt betrayed because he felt betrayed because that's my guy, that's my best friend. So, yeah, I felt some type of way on a personal side.
Hands off to Leonard, defended by Simmons. Is this the dagger?
Kawhi up top, looks at the clock, turns the corner for the win. Got it! Kawhi with the game winner.
It's a harsh business that we it's a great business. But sometimes moves are made that you're like, wow.
Warriors just inbound, and that's it. There's the new NBA champion, and it's a team from Toronto, Canada. We the North are now we the champions. The Raptors, the 2019 NBA champs.
We all know how the story goes after the Kawhi trade. Toronto goes on to finally break through and win the finals before Kawhi leaves for LA after the 1 year. I honestly believe that this trade was not necessary. I think DeMar could have won a ring in Toronto with that core that they had. And I think that changes his career, and he's a career Raptor. Instead, he's now remembered as a sacrificial lamb and now has that championship ring not on his resume, something that was very much engrassed for him. The conversation around DeMar is very different if he has that championship ring. Right now, the conversation you have to have around him is comparing him to guys like Grant Hill, who has 2 more All-NBA appearances and 1 more All-Star appearance. Another good comp I've seen is Mitch Richmond, but he has a ring and a few extra All-NBAs, and this has absolutely changed his legacy. And his legacy is forever changed by the Raptors also winning immediately after trading him and him missing out on that ring. Even to compare DeMar to his running mate Kyle Lowry, that ring holds a lot of weight and changes things. DeMar has truly made a career for himself statistically, but hasn't found much team success, playing a key role in some subpar Spurs teams after the trade before joining the Bulls, who had some flashes when he first got there, but again, were subpar for most of the time. And now he finds himself on the Kings, one of the worst teams in the NBA. I do really hope he finds a way onto a winner late in his career. At 36, he's still putting up very legit numbers. I know it's Sacramento, but he's done this everywhere he's gone. I think they're as legit as they can get. And even if it is in a smaller role, I think he still can contribute at a winning level. Unfortunately, I just think he's gonna end up being one of those guys that will always be in the wrong place after he retires for some people. That being that it's either controversial that he's in the Hall of Fame or controversial that he's out of it as one of the best scorers to not make it. Again, I don't necessarily know if DeMar DeRozan is a first ballot Hall of Famer, but to leave a top 25, potentially even a top 20 scorer of all time out of the Hall of Fame seems wrong. For him to have a ring would completely change this conversation, but to take his legacy as it is now, I think that is still more than enough for him to make the Hall of Fame. Again, I urge you to look at some Hall of Fame careers of players that are currently in the Hall of Fame, as well as some other active players that are given a better chance according to Basketball Reference. It is a very good stat and a very good way to track some of the best players and the best legacies that are actively in the NBA. There are some of their percentages that I think are quite odd, and I do think DeMar is one of those. Sub 50% seems very weird to me. But what do you guys think? Do you think DeMar DeRozan is a Hall of Famer, or is he just a Hall of Very Good guy? Leave your comments down below. Do what that says and subscribe if you're new. And other than that, I'm out. Peace.